I adjusted my tie in the reflection of the elevator door, pretending I was calm. "You okay, man?" Liam asked, his voice low. "I'm fine," I said, though my throat felt tight. "Fine?" No. I was standing on the edge of a storm I couldn't control. Emily, my Emily, was marrying someone else today. Liam didn't push. He just gave me that look he always gave when I pretended everything was normal. That look said, "I know exactly how much this hurts." As we entered the ballroom, I saw her. Emily, in white, laughing softly at something Mark said. My chest tightened, and I felt like the air was being squeezed out of me. "Wow," Liam muttered. "She looks incredible." I gritted my teeth. "Yeah, incredible. Perfect. Not mine." I tried to smile as people came to greet me. "Jason, congratulations on the new job," a distant cousin said. I nodded and murmured thanks. My attention was elsewhere. "She looks happy," Liam whispered. "Of course she does," I said, forcing my voice to be casual. "She's marrying him." Liam started. I shook my head. "Don't. Just don't." I found myself near the edge of the room, nursing a glass of water I didn't really want. Emily's laughter floated across the hall. Mark leaned in, whispering something that made her smile even brighter. I could barely breathe. Then she saw me. For a brief second, her eyes met mine, and I thought I saw a flicker of recognition. Maybe guilt. Maybe regret. Or maybe it was just me hoping for something that wasn't there. "Jason," a colleague called, dragging me toward the center of attention. "Come take a photo with the happy couple." I forced a smile, shaking hands with Mark like I wasn't dying inside. "Congratulations," I said, voice tight. "Thanks, Jason," Emily said, her smile warm and radiant. It was the same smile that had haunted my dreams for months. I wanted to reach out, to pull her into me and tell her I still loved her, but I couldn't. Not here. Not now. After the photo, people crowded around, offering hugs and claps. To the bride and groom. Someone shouted. Glasses clinked. I held mine a little too tightly, staring down at the liquid that tasted like ash. Liam leaned closer. "You should step outside for a minute." "I can't just leave," I muttered. "I can't." "Yes, you can," he said firmly. "You need air. You need sanity, man." I let him lead me out to the balcony. The night air hit me, sharp and cold. I breathed in deeply, trying to find the part of me that wasn't shattering. "She's gone," Liam said softly. I closed my eyes. I know she is. "You need to promise me something," he said, his hand on my shoulder. "You won't let this destroy you." "Not completely." "You're better than that," I swallowed. Tastes bitter in my mouth. "I promise. I'll rise above it." I didn't tell him I didn't know if I could, but I had to. I had to. A breeze rustled the leaves below, carrying faint laughter from inside. Emily's laughter. Every note stabbed me. I clenched my fists. I will reclaim my life. I will be stronger than this. And one day, I won't care if she's gone. "Are you okay now?" Liam asked, doubt in his voice. I nodded slowly, eyes still fixed on the distant lights of the city. "Yeah, I think so." Gave me a small, knowing smile. "Good. Come on, we should go back inside. Try to enjoy the rest. At least pretend." I followed, head held high, though inside I felt hollow. Every step echoed with memories of what could have been. Every smile I forced was a lie, every laugh a mask, and yet, deep down, a fire was lighting inside me. Not for revenge, not yet, but for me. My life. My future Emily would never know how close I'd been to losing myself tonight. But I swore to myself, one day I would rise. And when that day came, I would stand taller than I ever had. For now, though, I walked behind Liam, swallowing the lump in my throat. Pretending I was fine. Pretending. I walked into the office on my first day as the new manager, chest tight with a mix of pride and nerves. "Morning, Jason," Sarah called from the front desk, giving me a cheerful smile. "Morning," I replied, forcing my voice steady. I couldn't let anyone sense the storm brewing inside me as I made my way through the cubicles. My assistant handed me a folder. "Here's your team assignment," she said. I flipped it open, scanning names, and then I saw Temley, right there on the list. Under me, marked as part of my team. I froze. The world tilted for a second. I blinked and read it again. Emily. My Emily. Working under me. "Jason, you okay?" Sarah asked, stepping closer. I shook my head, forcing a casual laugh. Yeah, just surprised, I guess. "You look like you just saw a ghost," she teased lightly, but I didn't smile. I took a deep breath, flipping the folder shut. Stay professional, I told myself. "You can do this later." During the team meeting, I tried to focus. "All right, everyone." I started scanning the room. My eyes landed on Emily. She looked up at me and quickly looked away, cheeks slightly flushed. Her hair was pulled back neatly, and she wore that same competent expression. I remember, yet there was something hesitant in her posture. "Jason," she said softly, when I called her name to assign tasks. "Yes," I asked, keeping my tone neutral. My stomach twisted. "I'm ready for the project," she said, voice steady but eyes avoiding mine. "Good," I said. "I expect everyone to give their best." After the meeting, Liam's text buzzed on my phone. "Careful. Don't let this get messy." I typed back. "I know. Trying." I walked toward my office, Emily trailing behind. "Jason, about the assignment." She started. I looked up, stopping. "Yes, I want to make sure we're aligned," she said. "I know I'm new to this team, and I don't want any mistakes." I studied her carefully. She's nervous, maybe feeling guilty about working under me. Or maybe it's just my imagination. "Don't worry," I said slowly, keeping my voice even. "Just focus on your work. Everything else will fall into place." She nodded, a faint smile flickering across her face. "Thank you." Later, I found a moment alone with Sarah. "Did you know she was assigned under me?" I asked quietly. Sarah shrugged. I heard some whispers. "Surprised me too, but maybe it's good. You two worked well together before, right?" I clenched my fists under the desk. "Worked well. Yeah, not anymore." "You okay?" Sarah asked, noticing the tension in my jaw. "I will be," I said, forcing myself to focus. "I have to control this. Keep it professional. Don't let old feelings ruin this opportunity." Emily approached my office again, hesitating at the door. "Jason, do you have a minute?" I gestured to the chair across from me. "Sure, sit." She perched on the edge, hands folded neatly. I want to apologize if there's any tension. I know this is awkward." "Awkward? That's putting it lightly." "It's fine," I said finally. "We'll make it work. Professionally." "I hope so," she said softly, avoiding my eyes. "I don't want to make things difficult." "You won't," I assured her. "Just focus on your tasks. That's all I need." She nodded again, and for a moment I felt a pang of something: regret, longing, or maybe anger. I couldn't tell. The day dragged on, emails piling up, meetings overlapping. I caught glimpses of her in the hallway, her posture slightly stiff when I walked past. Her eyes flitted up and quickly down again. It's like she was trying to measure me. She doesn't know the storm inside me, I thought. She has no idea what I'm feeling. By the time the clock hit 6, I was exhausted but alert, my mind racing through strategies, not just for the project, but for navigating this personal battlefield. Liam's text buzzed again. "Survive the day. Take notes. Don't lose yourself," I typed back quickly. Surviving. Planning near the exit, waiting. "Good night, Jason," she said softly. "Good night, Emily," I replied. My voice carried calm. I didn't feel as I walked to the car. I couldn't shake the image of her sitting in my office, polite and cautious, unaware of how every look and every word was tearing me apart inside, but deep down, I felt the spark of determination. I will handle this. I will rise above this. And I will control this story. My story. Tonight was the first step. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, I would see how far I could push this carefully, strategically, without letting my heart destroy me. I pushed open the office door, and the usual hum of computers hit me like a wave. "Morning, Jason," Sarah greeted, giving me a quick nod. "Morning," I replied, scanning the room. My eyes immediately found Emily. She was already at her desk, typing furiously, head down. I forced a neutral expression, though my chest tightened. "Hey," Liam whispered, sidling up beside me. "Careful today? It's tense in here, tense," I said, raising an eyebrow. "I feel it too." "Good," he said softly. "Keep your cool. Don't let old feelings push you into mistakes." I exhaled. Control. Professionalism. Patience. Later in the weekly team briefing, I glanced at Emily as I handed out assignments. Her eyes flicked up at mine for a split second, and I saw a subtle hesitation. "Jason, I think the Wilson project might need more time," she said quietly. "Noted," I replied, voice even. "We'll adjust the timeline, thanks." After the meeting, I overheard a conversation by the water cooler. "Did you hear Emily's husband was at the client dinner last week?" A colleague said. "She's married?" Another replied. "I thought that was weird. She's so focused here." Mark, I thought, the name hitting me harder than it should. My fists clenched under the desk. I had to breathe. "This isn't about them. It's about control. Your control." Liam appeared beside me again. "Careful. Don't let that spark rage." "I know," I said. "I'll handle it." A minor incident occurred soon after. Daniel, a rival on my team, mismanaged a small task. I intervened quickly, correcting the error, but ensuring Emily wasn't blamed. She glanced up, surprise flickering in her eyes. "Thanks," she said softly. "Just doing my job," I replied, keeping my tone neutral. Later, Emily approached my office cautiously. "Jason, can I ask something?" "Sure," I said, motioning for her to sit. "It's about the client reports. I'm worried I misread some numbers," she confessed, worry in her voice. I leaned back, studying her. "Double-check them and send me a summary." "That's all," she nodded, relief visible. "Okay, thanks for understanding." As she left, Liam's voice came in my head. "Notice patterns, not feelings. Don't act impulsively." I rubbed my temples. Every glance, every word from Emily was a test. A battlefield. Not just at work, but inside me. By lunch, rumors about Mark filtered in subtly. "Apparently he's making big changes at his company," one colleague said. Emily's lips pressed together, and I noticed a slight frown. Does she care? Or is she just distracted? I kept my distance during the meal, watching her interact. She laughed softly at something Mark had apparently done, according to the whispers. My stomach turned, but I kept my face neutral. Liam slid a note across the table. "Focus, strategy, patience. Everything okay?" Sarah asked, noticing me staring. "Yes," I said quickly. "Just thinking through the project." By mid-afternoon, Emily came by my office again. "Jason, I hope I'm not overstepping, but I wanted to clarify a point from the morning briefing." "Sit," I said. She perched on the edge of the chair, eyes careful but open. "Go ahead." "I think the Wilson data might need cross-checking with the marketing team." "I don't want any mistakes," she said earnestly. "Good observation," I said. "Keep me updated." She smiled faintly, the faintest flicker of warmth that made my chest tighten. "Thanks, Jason." As she left, I muttered under my breath, "I can't let this get to me." Later, Daniel barged into my office. "You're giving her too much leeway. She's new. Don't bend over backwards." I leaned forward, voice calm but firm. "I'm aware. She's competent, and I'll handle the rest. Focus on your own tasks." Daniel grunted but left. I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. Liam appeared at the doorway. "See, you're handling it? Strategy, not emotion." "I hope so," I said. My thoughts kept spinning, but I forced the calm I needed. She doesn't know how much this hurts me, but I can control this. I will control this. By the end of the day, the tension hadn't eased, but I had managed it. Emily packed her things quietly, casting a glance my way. I nodded slightly. She understood the rules of engagement, even if unspoken. Outside, Liam caught up. Not bad for a first week. I gave a half smile. I'm learning. Slowly. Good. Keep it that way. Don't let her or anyone else manipulate your emotions. I won't, I said, my jaw tight. This is my battlefield. I'll win it quietly, strategically. And as I drove home, I rehearsed the plan in my mind. Not revenge. Not confrontation. Control. Patience. Observation. Every move counted. Tomorrow would be another battle. But this time, I was ready. I glanced at the clock. Emily, can we finish the draft tonight? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked up from the spreadsheet, eyes tired but attentive. Yeah, sure. I'll stay as long as you need. I felt a pang, the same old pull I'd fought to bury. Thanks, I said softly, turning back to my laptop. Minutes later, Daniel appeared, leaning casually against my doorway. Burning the midnight oil, huh? Or just distracted? His smirk was sharp. Focused, I said, not looking up. Sure, he said, raising an eyebrow. Don't let the new team members slow you down. I clenched my jaw but said nothing. Not now, Jason. Focused on Emily broke the silence, scrolling through her notes. Jason, can I ask you something personal? I froze, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Personal? She nodded, voice hesitant. It's just... I feel... I don't know. I can't tell anyone else. Of course not. Who else would she tell? I cleared my throat. Go ahead, she sighed. It's... Mark. Things aren't. I mean, he's sometimes distant. I don't know if I'm happy. My chest tightened. I see, I said, keeping my voice neutral, though my mind screamed. Why now? Why here? I shouldn't say this at work, she added quickly, cheeks flushing. Emily, it's okay, I said gently. It's not okay. But, okay? I'm listening, she hesitated, glancing at the documents between us. I don't talk about this with anyone, I feel. Trapped sometimes. I wanted to reach out, to reassure her, to tell her I understood every emotion she was feeling, but I couldn't. Not here. Not like this. I get it, I said carefully. Everyone has. Pressures. She looked at me, eyes searching. You do? I swallowed. Of course. Work, life. Choices. It's complicated, she whispered. Then she looked back at her screen. Silence stretched between us, thick and electric. Daniel cleared his throat from the doorway. I'll leave you to geniuses alone. Midnight drama, right? He laughed, but I knew it was meant to provoke. I gritted my teeth. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it. He left with a smug smile, and I turned back to Emily. Sorry about that, I muttered. It's fine, she said softly, still avoiding my eyes. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then she asked quietly, Jason, do you ever regret things? Choices you made? I stared at her. Regret? Yes, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Things. With people. With life. I felt the pull again, memories crashing in. Sometimes, I admitted carefully, but regret. It can't control us. It shouldn't. She nodded, contemplative. I guess I just feel trapped in choices I didn't fully make. Trapped. That's what I felt too. I wanted to tell her she wasn't alone. That I understood in ways no one else could. Emily, listen, I started but stopped. No. Professionalism. She glanced at me, eyes wide, maybe sensing my struggle. Jason, you okay? I'm fine, I said, voice tight. Really? We returned to work, fingers tapping keyboards, the tension electric. Every glance, every unspoken word, a reminder of what had been lost. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly, voice low. "I didn't mean to burden you with personal stuff." "You're not a burden," I said, swallowing hard. "Just unexpected." Her lips pressed together, and I noticed a flicker of guilt. Tor, was it concern? I don't know why I said that. "Sometimes people need to say things," I replied. "Sometimes people need to hear truths they've been avoiding." Hours passed. The project slowly came together, every click and keystroke a battle between focus and emotion. My mind spun with what-ifs, strategies, and restrained feelings. Finally, she stretched. "I should probably call it a night soon," she said. "Yeah," I said, trying to sound casual. "Don't overwork yourself." She glanced at me hesitant. "Thanks for listening." "Really?" I nodded, trying to appear composed. "Anytime. It's killing me inside, but yes, anytime." As she packed up, I muttered under my breath, This isn't easy." Liam's message buzzed on my phone. "Careful. You're walking a line. Don't tip over it." I exhaled slowly. I know. Emily paused at the door. "Good night, Jason," she said softly. "Good night, Emily," I replied, voice steady. After she left, I sank into my chair. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but the words wouldn't come. My thoughts were a storm of strategy, desire, restraint, and memory. Daniel's smirk, Emily's confession, Liam's warnings all swirled together. I had to remain calm, patient, professional, strategic. Yet, the temptation to say what I truly felt, to reach across the desk and tell her, everything was almost unbearable. I ran a hand through my hair. "No, not now. Patience, control, observation. That's the battlefield. That's how I win." Tomorrow, we'd continue the project. Tomorrow, I'd test the lines between professionalism and emotion. And tomorrow, I'd learn if I could survive this. Emotional warfare without losing myself. I watched the team scramble through the morning reports, pretending to sip my coffee while my mind calculated every move. Daniel fumbled with a client proposal, figures off by just enough to make the difference obvious. "Daniel," I said casually, leaning over his desk, "I think there's a mismatch in the Wilson account numbers." "Did you double-check the quarterly projections?" He froze. I thought I did." "Take a minute to review," I suggested smoothly, "and make sure the client sees accurate data. We can't afford mistakes." I glanced at Emily, pretending to be impartial. Her eyes followed my every move, quiet but attentive. She didn't intervene, just watched, a hint of surprise in her gaze. Later, Sarah leaned over. "You handled that well." "Daniel didn't see it coming," I said, sipping coffee. "Control, Jason. Subtlety is key." Emily approached cautiously. "Jason, about the quarterly presentation?" I interrupted softly but firmly, motioning toward the chair across from me. She perched neatly, hands folded. "Go ahead. Just wanted to make sure the figures I compiled were accurate." I double-checked, but with the changes you suggested, I'm not sure. Her voice trailed, cautious. "Let me see," I said, scanning her work. It was flawless. I raised an eyebrow. "Very thorough. Excellent work, Emily. I don't see any errors here." Her lips pressed together. "Thank you." "Jason." There was a subtle warmth in her eyes, a mix of relief and something else. Admiration? Guilt? I smiled faintly, keeping it neutral. "You earned it." Across the office, Daniel muttered under his breath, clearly frustrated. I caught Liam's glance and he smirked. Subtle enough, his eyes said. Later, Emily lingered near my office. "Jason, I overheard some colleagues talking about Mark. Is he really managing his department well?" I arched an eyebrow. "Managing? He's competent, but I've heard some inconsistencies. Delays, missed deadlines, people switching tasks without oversight." Her brow furrowed. I thought he was perfect. He always seemed confident." "Confidence isn't always competence," I said quietly. Sometimes the mask is stronger than the skill. Emily bit her lip. I didn't realize. You didn't need to, I replied, leaning back. Just be aware. Subtle revelation. Control the narrative. Don't push. Minutes later, Daniel approached, looking smug. I see you're taking over the team already? Making Emily look good while I clean up mistakes? I leaned forward, calm but sharp. I'm ensuring the team performs at its best. That includes acknowledging strong work. You're capable, just focus on your own contributions. He scowled, but left without another word. Emily hovered by my desk again. Jason, how do you handle all of this? Focus, I said simply. Strategy. Observation. Patience. She nodded slowly, then asked softly, Do you ever get tired of managing everything? I chuckled lightly. Sometimes. But the key is knowing which battles to fight and which to watch. She's listening. She's learning. Good at lunch, Sarah caught up to me. You're different now, she said, eyes scanning my expression. Calm, in control. A little intimidating, actually. Intimidating isn't the goal, I said. Effectiveness is. Keep your image consistent. Back in the office, Emily approached again, this time more confident. Jason, I wanted to thank you for covering the Henderson files earlier. I wasn't sure how to handle that. I leaned back, studying her. It's part of leadership. You notice the gaps and fill them, but I'll ensure no one gets blamed unfairly. That's all. She glanced at me, admiration clear now. I appreciate that. You've changed. I allowed myself a small, subtle smile. I've learned, so should you. As the afternoon dragged on, snippets of Mark's flaws filtered through whispers in the office. Missed deadlines, careless decisions, frustrated clients. I observed Emily's reactions carefully, her lips pressed tight, slight frown lines. A fleeting sadness in her eyes. Good, I thought. Let her see reality. Let her notice the contrast. By the end of the day, the subtle shifts were clear. Emily's respect for me had grown, tinged with guilt. Daniel's ego had taken a hit, carefully controlled, and the image of Marquand's flawless in her mind was beginning to crack. Liam appeared at my desk quietly. Subtle, but effective, he whispered. I nodded. Patience, observation, control. That's all this is. Emily lingered near the exit. Good night, Jason, she said softly. Good night, Emily, I replied. My tone was calm, measured, but inside I felt a small spark of satisfaction. Tonight wasn't about confrontation. It was about power, subtly wielded. Small victories. The first strike. And I could see it reflected in her eyes, the respect, the awareness, the faintest hint of realization. I exhaled slowly, watching her leave. Liam's words echoed in my mind. Every move counts. Subtlety wins. And I'm winning, I thought, smiling just a little. The meeting had just ended, and the team was filing out one by one. I stayed at my desk reviewing the latest project notes when Emily approached, her shoulders tense. Jason, can I talk to you? She asked softly. I looked up, meeting her eyes. Of course, sit. She perched on the edge of the chair across from me, hands clasped tightly. I don't know why I'm saying this here, but... She hesitated. You can tell me, I encouraged, keeping my voice calm. Stay professional. But listen, it's... Mark, she admitted quietly. He's so distant lately. I feel like I'm carrying everything alone. House, work, him. I exhaled slowly, feeling the familiar surge in my chest. I should stay silent, but I can't. Emily, I began carefully. I hear you. I understand more than you realize. She blinked, startled. You do? Yes, I said, leaning forward slightly. Sometimes people we care about, they're not the ones we thought they'd be. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Her eyes shimmered, a flicker of vulnerability I hadn't seen in months. I just feel trapped. Like I can't. I don't know. Escape at all. I swallowed hard, my emotions rising. Trapped. I know that feeling. More than you could imagine. I didn't mean to burden you, she whispered, biting her lip. You're not a burden. I said firmly, trying to mask the racing thoughts inside me. But you have to understand something. I can't cross lines. I won't. Not like this. Not yet. Her brows knit. Lines. Yes. Boundaries, I said carefully. We're colleagues, friends, but we can't let emotion or risk everything. She nodded slowly, glancing down. I know, sometimes I forget myself. I talk. I overshare. You're human, I repeated softly. It's okay to feel. To talk. Just choose where and when. Silence fell, heavy and electric. Her presence, her words, they stirred something I'd fought to keep controlled. Do I risk it? Do I speak? I clenched my fists under the desk. I began, then stopped. No, not yet. I won't say anything to complicate your life, but your honesty matters. Don't let anyone make you feel you're wrong for feeling this way. Her eyes flicked up, meeting mine. Jason, why do you care so much? I gave a faint, almost imperceptible smile. Because I know what it's like to lose control, to feel powerless. And because I've always cared about you. Her lips parted slightly, eyes wide, and my chest ached. Jason, she whispered. I quickly looked away, heart pounding. Not now. Don't push. Respect boundaries. Daniel appeared at the doorway, clearing his throat. Not to interrupt. I'll just get back to my desk. Thanks, Daniel, I said, voice steady, though inside my thoughts were spinning. Once he left, Emily shifted uncomfortably. I should get back to work, she said softly. Of course, I said gently. Just remember, you're not alone, even if it feels that way. She paused, looking at me for a long moment. I'll try to remember that. Thank you for listening, I nodded, keeping my composure. Anytime. As she left, I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. My mind raced feelings I'd buried, memories of the past, the ache of heartbreak, and the dangerous pull of desire. Do I chase this, or do I protect her? And myself? Liam's text buzzed on my phone. Careful. Lines. Don't lose control. I typed back silently in my head. I know. I'm aware, but I couldn't shake the image of her voice, tremor in her tone, the subtle sadness that clung to her every word. Hours later, the office was quiet. Emily's desk was empty, but the memory of our conversation lingered like smoke. I replayed every word, every glance, every pause. Do I tell her how I feel? Do I hold back? My hands hovered over the keyboard, but the words refused to form. I leaned back, running a hand through my hair. This isn't easy, I muttered to myself. I want to protect her. But I want so much more. Tension between desire and restraint gnawed at me. I wanted to reach out, to bridge the gap, to show her everything I'd felt for years. But moral restraint, professional boundaries, and respect for her choices anchored me in place. I'll wait. I told myself firmly. Patience, observation, timing. That's the battlefield. Now Emily's faint confession had opened something inside me, a door I wasn't ready to close. It couldn't walk through. The ache of longing and the pull of propriety clashed violently. And as the lights dimmed and the office emptied, I knew this wasn't over. The tension was unresolved, a spark that could ignite at any moment. I glanced at the empty chair across from my desk. Tomorrow we continue, and I'll see how far I can go without breaking, or letting her slip away from me again. The emotional cliffhanger hung in the air, heavy and unrelenting. Every decision from here on mattered. Every glance, every word could tilt the balance, and I was ready. Ready for the storm, ready for the temptation, ready for the fight between desire and restraint. I sat at my desk, observing the team handle the morning tasks. My eyes lingered on Emily, who was typing swiftly, focused but alert. Across the office, I noticed the ripple of chaos that always seemed to follow Mark's name in office gossip. He missed the client call again, Daniel muttered, shaking his head. And apparently he sent the wrong report to the East Branch. I raised an eyebrow, and I guess everyone's scrambling to fix it, Daniel said, smirking. I exhaled slowly, leaning back. Natural consequences, let karma do its work. Emily approached cautiously, her expression clouded. Jason, did you hear about the Henderson files? I did, I said evenly. Seems there was a mix-up, Mark's oversight. Nothing you caused? Her lips pressed together, a faint relief crossing her features. I didn't want to get involved, but I couldn't just ignore it. Good instincts, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Subtle recognition. Don't push. She glanced at me, hesitation in her eyes. You handle all of this so calmly, Experience, I said lightly. An observation. You'll learn to manage it too. Daniel approached again, voice sarcastic. Calm. Really, Jason? You're just watching Mark fumble while pretending everything's under control? I looked at him, expression steady. I'm observing patterns, not intervening unnecessarily. That's how control works. Daniel scoffed and walked away. Emily's gaze followed him, curious. Later, she stopped by my office, voice soft. Jason, I don't know how you do it, Mark. Makes mistakes constantly, but you seem untouchable. Yes. I leaned back in my chair, masking the subtle satisfaction I felt. It's about patience. Understanding consequences without forcing them. Her eyes lingered on me, admiration mingling with something I couldn't quite name, guilt. Maybe longing. I wish I could be like that. Calm. Strategic. You can, I said carefully. It's learned, not inherited. Seed the idea. Observation is key. By mid-afternoon, whispers around the office hinted at more of Mark's blunders. Missed deadlines, careless emails, frustrated clients. Emily's reactions were subtle, but telling, tightened lips, fleeting frowns, the occasional sigh. I watched quietly, letting events unfold naturally. No overt interference, just subtle guidance when necessary. Sarah appeared at my desk. You're letting things slide, but somehow controlling the outcome anyway. Clever. Oh. I smiled faintly. Not clever, just aware. Timing is everything. Emily approached again, this time hesitant, but seeking my counsel. Jason, he thinks he's handling everything, but it's falling apart because he underestimates consequences, I said softly. People think confidence equals competence, but it doesn't. She nodded slowly, processing the information. I see that now. I didn't realize before. You're learning, I said. Plant the idea of competence versus arrogance. Let her notice the contrast naturally. She looked at me, eyes lingering. You make it look so easy. I feel, reassured around you. I forced a neutral tone. That's because I focus on solutions, not drama. You'll become second nature once you prioritize strategy over emotion. Her lips pressed together. I hope I can get there someday. You will, I said firmly. But it takes practice, observation, and patience. The day wound down, and Emily packed up quietly. She lingered near my desk. Jason, thank you. For noticing, for not letting me get blamed. You did your part, I said evenly. I just ensure fairness. Nothing more. Eyes flicked up at me, a faint smile forming. Fairness. It's rare. It is, I said softly. Let her notice integrity. Let admiration build without forcing it. As she left, I watched her walk away, every step measured, thoughtful. I could see her mind working through my words. The contrast between my composure and Mark's flaws, the quiet strength I displayed. Liam's text buzzed. Patience pays. Keep observing. I typed back mentally. I know. This is the first real shift. By the time the office emptied, the subtle power shift was clear. Mark's mistakes left cracks in his image. Emily's perception of him had shifted without me saying a word. My restraint, patience, strategic observation had done more than I could achieve with force. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling. Control, I muttered. Observation, patience. Let them crumble while you rise quietly. Tomorrow would bring more tests, more subtle moves. And Emily, she was noticing everything. The respect, the admiration, the quiet authority. The pull of old emotions mingled with the recognition of my strength. The battlefield was shifting. Karma was doing its work, and I was ready to see how far it could go. I leaned back in my chair, surveying the office with a quiet satisfaction. Everything was running smoothly, tasks completed, clients satisfied. I spotted Emily at her desk, focused yet subtly aware of my presence. She glanced up, meeting my eyes for a brief moment. "Jason, the Henderson report went perfectly," she said softly. "Good work," I replied evenly. "You handled it well, Emily. Keep it professional." Subtle reinforcement. She nodded, lips pressed together, then looked away. There was a pause, a hesitation. I didn't realize. Mark, he keeps making mistakes, and her voice trailed off. Patterns become obvious when you step back and observe, I said calmly. Sometimes people think they're in control, but reality has a way of revealing truth. Her eyes flickered, and I caught a subtle mix of admiration and regret. I see that now, she admitted quietly. I smiled faintly, keeping my expression neutral. It's part of learning, part of understanding responsibility and competence. She bit her lip, looking down at her work. You've changed so much since before. I don't know how you do it. Focus, Emily, I said, voice soft but firm. Patience, observation, maintaining control over what matters most. It's a choice every day. She nodded slowly, absorbing my words. I could sense the shift in her perception, the contrast between her choices and my growth settling in. From across the office, Sarah leaned over. "Jason, the team has noticed. Everyone's respect has shifted. You've become the anchor here." I inclined my head slightly. "Good. That's all I need." Emily lingered near the exit, hesitation written all over her. "Jason, I didn't handle things well before. I regret some choices." "You can't change the past," I said calmly, "but you can learn from it. That's what matters." Our gaze dropped. "I see that now. You grew stronger while I..." Her voice faltered. "I did," I said simply, "because I focused on what I could control. Because I refused to let heartbreak dictate my choices. Subtle, not cruel." She nodded, lips pressed tight. I hope I can learn to do that too, Ken," I said evenly. "If you commit to it, decisions define us. Actions follow." Mark's name came up again in gossip mist, deadlines, frustrated clients, visible tension in his department. Emily glanced at me, noticing the contrast. "Jason. Mark. Not what I thought," she whispered. "Reality has a way of revealing truth," I said softly. "Sometimes the people we once relied on show cracks. Sometimes. That's a lesson we need to learn." Her eyes lingered on me, and I could see the dawning realization of the regret, the understanding of my growth versus her past choices. "Thank you." "Jason," she said finally, voice low. "For everything. For your guidance, for being steady." I inclined my head, smiling faintly. I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because it was necessary, because I had to master myself before I could influence anything else. Emily paused, glancing at my desk, then back at me. I wish I'd understood that sooner." "Timing is everything," I said, voice calm. "Sometimes we need to experience mistakes to appreciate the right path." She exhaled slowly, a quiet acknowledgement of her own journey ahead. I will. I think I finally understand." As she left, I returned to my work, fingers tapping the keyboard, thoughts focused and clear. Liam appeared briefly, offering a knowing glance. "You've come far," he said quietly. "I have," I replied. "And this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of control, clarity, and balance." I leaned back, reflecting on the past months, the heartbreak, the tension, the subtle battles. I had grown stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. I had reclaimed my life without overtly humiliating anyone. Letting karma and consequence do their work naturally, the office hummed around me. The team efficient, Emily thoughtful, Mark's errors lingering in subtle ways. Every move I had made, every restraint, every calculated observation had shifted the balance. I exhaled, a sense of quiet triumph settling over me. I had regained authority over my career, my emotions, and my life, and I could see the ripple effects. Respect from colleagues, admiration from Emily, the inevitable consequences catching up to Mark. But most importantly, I had mastered myself. Heartbreak no longer dictated my actions. Desire no longer clouded my judgment. I was free, stronger, steadier, ready for whatever came next. And as I watched Emily disappear from the office, I realized her fate, her choices were now entirely her own. I had given her the mirror to see herself clearly. I had nothing more to prove. The tension remained subtle and unresolved, but I didn't need closure from her. I had closure for myself. I had risen. I had one, and now I could move forward unshaken. I sat in the quiet corner of the cafe, watching people pass by, their lives moving forward as mine had. The months since the office battles felt both distant and vivid. Everything I endured, heartbreak, tension, strain, had shaped me into someone steadier, sharper, in control. Liam slid into the seat across from me, a grin tugging at his lips. "You look lighter," Jason calmer, like the storm finally passed. "I am," I said, stirring my coffee slowly. "The storm taught me more than I expected. Patience, observation, control over what truly matters," he chuckled. "Sounds like wisdom coming from a guy who used to break chairs in frustration."
Oh.
I smiled faintly. "I've learned to break habits, not furniture." Sarah appeared moments later, carrying her own coffee. "Jason, you've changed. Everyone notices. Not just at work. You've found your balance." "Balance," I repeated. "It's a choice. Every day. I've learned that." Emily's name flickered in my mind. I thought about her regret in her eyes, her subtle admiration, and the distance she had created. I didn't need closure from her anymore. I had closure for myself. "You're thinking about her again?" Liam observed. I laughed softly. "Maybe, but it's reflective, not longing. I don't need what I lost. I've gained something more valuable: control over my life and emotions." Sarah nodded knowingly. "And now? New possibilities." "Maybe," I said cautiously. "I'm open, but wiser. I know love and trust are gifts, not guarantees. I'll approach them carefully." Liam smirked. "Cautious? Huh? That's new for you." I shrugged lightly. Experience has a way of teaching lessons hard. Emily had faded into memory, yet her presence lingered like a lesson etched into my heart. I didn't resent her. I didn't need to. What mattered was what I became because of everything that happened. "I saw her yesterday," Sarah said quietly. She looks different, thoughtful, maybe regretful. I think she realized how far you've come." I nodded, sipping coffee. "Good. She deserves that awareness. And I deserve the peace I've earned." A young man at the next table laughed, catching my attention for a brief second. Normal life, normal connections, subtle possibilities. Maybe there's someone new around the corner. Maybe not. But I'm ready either way. "Jason," Liam said after a pause, "you've done what most can't. You've reclaimed control without losing yourself. Without letting anger or desire ruin everything." I smiled faintly, feeling the truth in his words. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The heartbreak, the tension, it forced me to grow. I see now that every struggle has a lesson hidden within it. Emily had taught me more than she realized. Not about her, not about Mark, but about me. About resilience, strategy, patience, and the value of emotional mastery. Sarah leaned forward, voice soft. And now? What's next? I looked out the window, watching the sunlight glint off the street. People moving forward, unaware of my reflections. Now, I live. I observe. I act with awareness. I let life unfold without fear or obsession. And if someone enters my life, someone deserving of trust and care, I'll approach them as a man who knows his worth. Emily, Mark, the office. They were chapters, not chains. I had read the last page, but I was still holding the pen for the future. Liam raised his cup. To new beginnings. I mirrored him, lifting mine. To growth. To patience. To life fully owned, fully mine. Sarah smiled, a quiet warmth. And maybe happiness too, I nodded, letting the possibility settle without rush, without expectation. Life had taught me restraint, the power of observation, and the value of control. And now I was free emotionally, professionally, and morally. As the sunlight streamed through the cafe windows, I felt a quiet strength. The past was behind me. The future awaited, and I was ready new beginnings.